Hi, dreamers! Welcome back to Carried Away the Conversation, where we bring together writers, readers, and dreamers all under one umbrella. You're here with Ashley,
Camille,
and Ana Maria.
Hi, dreamers! Welcome back to another episode of Carried Away the Conversation. We have an amazing guest today with us, author KAYVION Lewis. She has written the duology Thieves Gambit and Heist Royale, and today she has graced us with her presence and is going to talk to us about her series. Yay!
Yay!
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I love talking about my books and author things and all the things, really.
We love all the things. These conversations are just so easy. We love having them because obviously, as you can see from our brief interlude, we just love talking and yapping and just getting to the nitty gritty of like what makes a book and what makes you want to write your books. So, I was initially caught with like the first chapter. I'm not spoiling anything. It's like the first 10 pages. But we enter into a scene in the Thieves Gambit where the main character, Ross, is sneaking into this mansion. And there's a Siamese cat, and her and this cat have this like very humorous like exchange of like, oh, I like you and I want to keep you, but no, I'm going to betray you. And I think that really sets the scene for the rest of the book, I think. Can you talk a little bit about like how you decided to write that scene?
I wish I could tell you that it was like very clever planning and foreshadowing about the greater theme of the book and the issues that Ross is going to deal with about trust and having to betray people that you care about and that sort of thing. But while I do think that all of that is definitely accurate, and I was trying to foreshadow some of the trust issues that Ross is going to deal with in the book, I originally opened with that scene because I was writing and my cat, who is a Siamese cat, just hopped on my lap, and I was like, I don't know what to write. I'm going to put my cat in this book. They have different names. My cat is not named Nala like the cat in the book. But next thing I know, I was just writing Ross, sneaking through this mansion, and I just kind of wrote the cat that was on my lap into the story, and now she's in the book. But that's the fake story. The true story is that I'm a literary mastermind, and it was all intentional foreshadowing and everything.
Wait, was that a Taylor Swift reference I just heard? Mastermind.
Mastermind.
Well, that was not intentional. I didn't even know. Is that a Taylor Swift thing? I'm sorry, don't hate me if you guys are all Swifties, but I'm not a Swiftie.
I am not a resident Swiftie, but these other two girls are.
You visit. You come into the neighborhood.
I visit occasionally, but I don't live there.
That's me. I drive by and I peer into the neighborhood with my binoculars. But
you look through people's windows?
Yeah. Let me stop. This metaphor is getting too dangerous if someone takes it out of context. So
yeah. We'll stop.
I mean, in the Netherlands, that's a real thing. People do look through each other's windows. Like, that's normal. Sorry, that's off topic.
That's just culture. Wow, yeah. I gotta put that in my next book, man.
People out here, it's like an actual thing. They just go people watching.
That's interesting. Huh.
Is it? Or is it
or is it concerning? I don't know.
I feel like people in all cultures do that. It's just maybe you have to be more subtle about it in some places as opposed to others, perhaps.
There's people watching TV, like a family watching TV, and I also watch their TV.
When you're walking by their window, what are we watching today?
Yeah, I'm watching. Yeah, what are we watching today?
Okay, that's a level past what I was imagining.
I think the listeners are concerned at this point.
We just started
outing ourselves.
It's all related to writing. People watch, and that helps you create interesting characters. It's part of the job of being an author.
True.
I think that's going to be my defense on the stand.
I think it holds up.
Thank you for bringing us back to the topic at hand.
Speaking of complex characters, one of the themes in your book, Thieves Gambit, that is kind of touched upon is kind of the complexity of the mother-daughter relationship. And you kind of see it first and foremost with Roz and her mother, but you also touch upon it with Roz and her aunt. And so could you maybe expand upon the dynamics which exist between women in your book?
Yeah, I think the relationship between Ross and her mom, well, definitely like influences a lot of like Ross's like where her character arc and then her decisions in the story. It's not a spoiler because it's on like the description of the book, but the reason that Ross enters the Thieves Gambit, which is this international thieving competition, is to win the ransom money that she could use to buy her mom's freedom because her mom has been kidnapped. So a lot of the book is about her trying to rescue her mom, but it's also a lot more complicated than that because she was going to run away from her mom before her mom got kidnapped because her mom is as a very smothering and controlling person. And as you go on through the book, no spoilers, but you find out that she's a lot more of a complex person than even Ross realizes. And so when I was writing the relationship, I didn't intend to, but had to kind of as I was writing it, think a lot more about my own relationship with my mom. And like, I think the mother daughter relationship, like specifically, is one of the most like interesting relationships to write about being a woman, just because I don't think any other relationship like in my life is going to be as complicated as like the relationship that I have with my mom. Because it's like, oh, I love her so much, but also it's like she made me, but also does she have like the right to, how much of a right does a parent have to like who you are and who you're meant to be? And everything is much more complicated with Ross because she's also part of this like legacy family of thieves, and her mom has kind of isolated her from the rest of her family, so the only person she really has in her life like is her mom and her aunt. So I definitely had to do like a lot of introspection, like examining my own relationship, like with not just my mom, but other like important female figures in my life, and just thinking a lot about like the different power balances between those relationships and how they've changed, like from me being a child to like a teenager and now like I call myself a young adult, but maybe I'm just an adult now. I have to accept that. But I just think it was really interesting to write about, and especially going into like Heist Royale, when the dynamics, after some twists and turns at the end of Thieves Gambit comes out, how the dynamics change like even further between like the trust between those relationships that are supposed to be so intimate, and then like how do you move forward when like the trust between somebody that you're supposed to like have like the utmost like faith in, when like that's shattered. And I don't know, it was hard to write about, but I was just thinking a lot about like, oh, okay, well, what would I do? What would the situation be if my mom did this thing to me, or if I wanted to run away from my mom? But then make it 10 times worse because their situation is like a lot more complicated. I will say that I also came out appreciating my own relationship with my own mom after writing Ross and her mom's relationship, because, you know, at the end of the day, I was like, at least my mom hasn't done this to me. At least she didn't force me to be like an international thief from like age 6.
It puts things into perspective.
Right, yeah. Writing will do that. You'll be like, wow, at least my relationship didn't end as bad as this one, or at least this person didn't do that to me.
My mom could be worse. Let me use my imagination about how she could be worse and then give her the grace.
Exactly, yeah. And then after your mom reads said book, you have to have a call with her where you explicitly tell her, this is not based on our relationship. I swear this is not how I think about you.
Wait, do we have the same mother?
Oh my God. Maybe.
Long lost sister? Hello?
Well, well, I'm glad it's resonating. I'm glad it's relatable.
It's definitely the relatable. Yeah. It must be, I'm not sure if other people have this, but it's like a very specific, like, Southern mother thing that you're like, oh, I can't live without you ever. But sometimes I can't live with you. So,
Not
or maybe
even
that's
just, I
like all
assume,
mothers.
is that like every mother? I would think, I would
I
hope.
think it is.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, and my mom's not even Southern technically. She's actually from the Bahamas, which Ross and her family are from the Bahamas. My mom is from the same island that Ross and her family is from, Andros. So she's that Caribbean mom who's I think the stereotype is, you know, a little harsher than the average American mom, but you know, so loving underneath it all. That's just
Yeah.
what they tell me.
Yeah.
Tough love, my mom likes to call it. Or she
Yeah.
goes, I'm not like a cookie cutter mom. I'm a
I'm not
black
a cookie
mom.
cutter mom. I'm a serrated knife cutter mom. Yeah.
Exactly.
Damn. Oh, damn.
Exactly. But she's great. We all need a knife.
I love how you ended that, but she's great.
To any of our mothers listening, we do love you, period.
So much.
Yes, that's
I just got off the
yeah.
phone with my mom.
Yeah, it must be reiterated.
It just has to be put out there. Just
Yeah,
in
yeah,
case.
In case. Just
Just a reminder.
Wait, I'm going to deviate from the script here a little bit. But, KAYVION, it kind of feels like there's a lot of parallels in your writing with your own life. Like before with the cat. And how, you know, you just wrote him into, or her, I'm sorry, don't want to
She's a
misgender
her,
again,
yeah.
into the scene. And, the relationship with Ross and her mom may not be exact parallel, but maybe inspired, I guess. Is that a good word?
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely true. I think a lot of my books, although when I'm writing them, I like to believe that everything is just, coming from my imagination. But looking back, like in retrospect, a lot of my stories in life have taken inspiration from like people I've known or places that I've wanted to go or situations like around me. I think part of that is just like my natural writing style because I'm so not like an outliner or like not like a very strict planner when I'm first writing my books because I'm kind of writing like from the seat of my pants. I have to look around like the world around me and like take things in to just like fill in the blanks if I didn't fill them in before. Like
Mm.
when I'm naming characters, a lot of the time I'll just kind of look around to what's around me and characters will just be named after things that are like around me. Devereaux, actually, I worked at a library while I was writing Thieves Gambit, and I did a lot of my writing like while I was on the clock. Shh, don't tell anybody. And I remember I was like working and I was like getting to the scene where Devereaux was being introduced, and then I had to like shelve some books, and I was picking up a Jude Devereaux book, and I was shelving it, and I was thinking, what am I going to name this love interest? And I was like, Jude Devereaux. I'll name him Devereaux and maybe change it later. And then his name is Devereaux, and it still is in like the published work. So like small things like that come into play too. But I think maybe also like larger things like the themes between like Ross and her mom, and then even like friendships that have kind of paralleled friendships in my own life. Um, I just end up like thinking back to, okay, well, what have I experienced that I could like accurately portray in the
Mm.
story? And so, yeah, a lot of my life just ends up kind of seeping into the work, whether I want to or not. And then I change the names and pretend it's all fictional.
It's not really about you. Calm down.
Yeah, yeah. Wink.
Well, that actually leads us to the next question. It is a straight path. Your Goodreads bio reads, when she's not writing, she's breaking out of escape rooms, jumping out of airplanes, and occasionally running away to mountain retreats to study kung fu. We cannot help but see more parallels in addition to now your cat in Devereaux. Was creating Rosalind kind and the Themes Gambit universe kind of like a literary escape room for you?
Oh, it was definitely. So when I was writing Thieves Gambit, I've always been like an adventurer at heart and wanted to go on these adventures and solve these puzzles. And I basically when I grew up, I wanted to be like Black Indiana Jones, but apparently that's like not a real job or something. So I had to like get a job as a librarian, and I was like, oh well, one day I'll have my great adventure. And until then, maybe I'll try to write some. So at the time that I was writing Thieves Gambit, I hadn't really had all these adventures. I hadn't really done any of the like skydiving or kung fu mountain retreats that you see in my, very glamorous bio now. But they
Mm-hmm.
were all things that I wanted to do and things that were like bopping around my head as like adventures that I wanted to have one day. So writing Thieves Gambit was kind of like an escapist wish fulfillment sort of thing, or maybe even like a manifestation thing. And looking back on where my life is now, um, so I just wrote all the adventures. I wrote all the adventures that I wanted to have, and tried to capture the feelings that I thought that I would have if I ever got to go on this grand adventure. And I had the idea that maybe one day, if the books like sell and take off, they'll fund my real life adventures, and I can go and do all of these amazing things that like my characters get to do.
Mm.
And that has to be some top tier manifestation right there, because somehow I ended up selling this crazy amazing adventure book. And by the time that I was writing Heist Royale, I was actually able to go to some of the locations that are featured in the book. There's like an Antarctica heist in Heist Royale, and I was able to go to Antarctica. It's been almost a year ago now, and actually like take in the scenery and kind of live out the same situations that like I knew that my characters that I wanted my characters to experience in the book. And so yeah, I don't know how that's become. You turn like fictional writing into real life. I'm like a magician, man. It's crazy.
Honestly, it's all full circle because your life created the book or inspired lots of parts of the books, and then the book inspired your, you know, post
Exactly. Yes.
publication life. Yeah.
I'm just
Huh.
trying to keep that circle going, so I gotta keep selling books.
Honestly, aren't authors magicians? I love that when you say I'm a magician because you created the whole world. Okay, you were inspired, but still, you created it. I love
Oh,
that.
you make it
That's
sound so poetic, but yeah, that's
it was the word magician that you used that really I really like that.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm only thinking because I'm literally working on, just finished, like I'm like a few thousand words away from finishing a book that focuses on magicians right now. And so the word magician has been in my head like 100 times a day for like the last 2 months.
See, it all works out.
Yeah,
Everything
it's
clicks
all,
together.
see, that's that full circle thing that we were
Yeah.
talking about.
Wait, did you just like subtly give us a little sneak peek of something?
Oh my God, I guess I did.
Yeah.
Yes. You guys are getting the tea before even my literary agent.
Oh my God. Like,
I'm
Lucky
very
us.
protective of my ideas, and like especially when I first start working on a project. Like now I'm more comfortable talking about it because I'm like almost done with it. But when I like first get an idea for a book, or like I'm in like the mud, like in the midst of like drafting it, I maybe it's like a superstitious thing now, but like I can't tell anybody like what it's about. I can't tell anybody that I'm working on it because I'm like, no, nobody needs to know, because if it's horrible, like part of my writing process is like hinged on the fact that I need to be able to tell myself that nobody ever has to see this. Nobody ever has to know that it existed. And if I get to the end and I decide that I hate it, like I can just make it disappear and nobody's like waiting for it. So now that I've gotten to like pretty much the end of the book, is I'm like, okay, well, this is actually maybe okay. So maybe I can start mentioning it like a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. I think I'm similar, kind of.
Kind
Actually,
of.
I'm lying. I blab everything.
That was a total 180.
Yeah, I was like, let me not lie to the people. I am my family called me Mouth of the South growing up. Because all I did was
Aw.
talk. All I did was talk. But like, I'm really impressed that you were able to keep your magicians a secret.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, only at first, and I've learned, I've so many times, I've written so many books, it's crazy. Thieves Gambit was actually like the 10th book that I wrote. I think Heist Royale, I think I'm up to like 17 or 18 like actual finished manuscripts now. And just so I have a lot of like I'm very comfortable and I know myself and my writing process so well now. And so for all the books that I have like finished, there are like probably an equal amount of books that I haven't finished. And I've noticed that all the ones that I hadn't finished or I gave up on, or even the ones that I did finish and that like I really didn't like, they were the ones that I was like, oh, let me tell everybody about this book. And I did this, and this differently. So, but now I know my process and I know like the rules for myself. And that's one of the rules is just keep it to yourself, KAYVION, until the book is done. And then you can make a decision about if you want to share it.
Can you tell us a bit about like your unpublished books and how you make the distinguish with what you're going to publish and what you're not?
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of the decisions, I don't want to say have been made for me. That makes me sound like I have no like agency at all, but that's kind of true. So a lot of my writing journey for like the first 10 books up to Thieves Gambit was, I knew that I wanted to be traditionally published. I just knew that that's the type of route that I wanted to go, because self-publishing takes so much, like you're responsible for everything yourself. I don't even like to be responsible for like changing my own cat's litter sometimes, you know, let alone like having to put together like a whole publishing like marketing plan and everything. So I knew that I wanted to be traditionally published. So I had to get a literary agent first. And so I wrote a lot of those books with the idea of like getting a literary agent. And of course, the first couple of books that I wrote, I'd never written anything, not even a short story before. I just jumped in one day and was like, I'm going to write a novel. And I did write a novel. It was a very bad novel because I'd never written anything before. So like, I feel like the first couple of books were crossed out just because they just weren't up to par. They were interesting ideas, but like kind of repetitive. They just weren't great books. And then I went through this other phase in the middle where I was like, well, clearly I just need to be writing books that are more like the popular stuff. Like I need to be writing to market. I need to write a book that's just like this other super popular book. So I wrote a bunch of books that were of better quality because I was becoming a better writer, but they weren't books from my heart, if that makes sense. Like they weren't books that I would want to pick up if I was, you know, in a library or in a bookstore looking at the shelves. So that was my second big lesson learned, besides how to write a book, is stop writing books that you don't even personally like, KAYVION. And that took me like 5 books to learn the lesson to do that. And then I finally got around to the later pile of books. I'm calling the books piles because there's so many of them. Oh my God. The later cluster of books where I was like, you know what, let me write some books that I think would be really interesting. I'm not going to think about markets. I'm not going to think about all of that stuff. I'm going to try and write the best book possible that I can. But I'm going to write a book that's like true to my heart and the type of story that I would want to write and want to live. So Thieves Gambit was one of those, I guess, like later series of books within that first 10. That was a book that's really from my heart. I have a very adventurous spirit, as I mentioned before, and Thieves Gambit is a very adventurous book. And so, what do you know? Once I actually learned how to write a book and I was writing something that I actually wanted to write, I ended up finally landing an agent and then a publishing deal for book number 10. So it only took me like 9 books to figure out the key.
Oh,
Wow.
A couple of the books like written before Thieves Gambit, at least like 1 or 2 of them, I do like have hopes for, and I'm like, I want to get this like published one day. Another one of them, my editor from Penguin is reading now, and it's on slate to be scheduled. It's on schedule to be released in spring of 2026. So I have managed to get at least one of those books before Thieves Gambit, like into the publishing world now. But a lot of them are just not good, or I just kind of personally don't like them. I just wrote them because I thought it was going to get me an agent. So I'm like, I'm just going to forget about that book.
You're such a prolific writer then. Like some people spend their entire lives just writing, their one great masterpiece. But if you can just spin out gold like this, that's so impressive.
Not all of it is gold. I'll try to tell you that.
Okay, maybe some silver.
Some silver too, but I'm very lucky. I know that some writers do take, a bit longer than it does take me to draft a book. If I'm like actually focused, it takes me about, I'd say an average of like 2.5 months to complete a first draft. My first drafts are relatively pretty clean. And I think that's just me having no chill, to be honest. I get so excited, especially now that I'm writing books that I'm like really like excited about. Because at first I was excited, like, okay, the faster I write a book, the faster I can query it and get a literary agent, and all of my dreams are going to come true. And that was the motivation of me being like, I have to write 2,000 words a day, every day, no matter what. But now that I'm writing books that I'm really excited about, I still have that excitement and like anxiety, or not anxiety, but kind of anxiety, but like desire to write a lot. But it's because I'm really excited about the stories. So I do write on average about 2,000 words a day still.
oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I take Saturdays off, so 6 days a week. I write 2,000 words a day. And then that adds up to like about a book every, or a finished first draft about every 2 to 2.5 months.
Wow.
So
Holy
little
shit.
bits every day.
Oh my
Holy shit.
That's commitment.
Once you get into the habit of it and you make it like a part of your consistent daily schedule, especially now that I'm like a full-time writer now, like I don't have an excuse not to sit down and write for a few hours a day. Like I'm like, this is literally your job, KAYVION. Just sit down and do it. But once you get into the habit of it, it doesn't feel like a super arduous task.
I feel like that leads into another one of our questions that Anna is going to ask.
Yeah, because I was about to say, you mentioned traditional publishing, that you wanted to be traditionally published. And I guess a part of like traditional publishing is getting your book translated. And you managed to get, like, it's a tremendous achievement to get the book that you were excited about, to get it translated into 25 languages. And I think me as a reader, I don't know what it always entails. Like sometimes you think that it's just, taking the text and translating word per word. But I know that that's not just it. But could you share your experience of having your book translated in so many languages? And like, what do you think about the role of translation, like being accessible in so many different cultures and so many different readers?
Yeah, I'm so grateful. That's like the thing that I'm most proud of all the things that Thieves Gambit has gotten, is that it's been translated and picked up by so many different publishers in different countries and who want to publish the work in different languages. And I think part of that is because the story and the characters itself is so international. The characters go to so many different countries, and all of the competitors, there's like 9 teenage thief competitors. They're all from different countries. And I believe that's why it's been so like relatable to people, and like other publishers have been like, oh well, our readers like can see somebody who at least like looks like them like in this book. And I think that's why that it's been picked up by so many different publishers. I think, well, part of the translation process, for the most part, as the author, I'm not as involved in it as you would think. I actually am like on the outskirts of a lot of the process. Even like selling the publishing rights to like other publishers, I felt like I was kind of just like a passenger in that whole process. So the way it works is my literary agency, like they work with another literary agency called the Rights People, who like their whole thing is they sell, like they're my foreign literary agents, and they sell my book to like different publishers and pitch them to different places and countries around the world. And for the most part, they would just send me emails, and sometimes they still do, being like, hey, we have this publisher in Spain that wants to buy the work for this much, do you approve? And most of the time I would just be like, yes, I approve. And they would be like, okay, great. And then a few weeks later, they send you the contract. And that kind of just happened like 25 different times. It's not as, I don't know why, or if this is like just the norm for when you're outside of your regular country, but it's not as detailed of a process as like the American publishers where, oh, let's have you on a phone call with all the different editors and agents, and you're a lot more like in depth. It would literally just be them being like, hey, this is the publisher. Do you want to take this deal? And I never had a publisher that I didn't want to take the deal of. So when it comes to the actual like translation process, I have no idea how they do that magic either. I've never personally translated a book. Occasionally they will send me like questions that the translator has that relate to language. Like another, I think it was my French publisher, like asked, so there's a character named Count in the book, and they were asking, is it Count as in Count is just their name, or is it supposed to be Count as in like Count Dracula, like Count is like a title, because the translation would be different for that. So whenever they have questions like that, they would send them to me and I would answer them. But that's the only part of the process, like when they had like specific inquiries, that I would actually be involved in the translation process.
It's also interesting to see, like, like that question sounds interesting in a sense that sometimes in other languages, like they add perspective. Like it will be something that I don't know, in English language you wouldn't think of, but yeah, they add some questions. I would assume that they are very like, oh, I didn't think about that. Is that the
Yeah,
case?
it's always stuff that I'd never thought of before, like the Count thing. I was like, I don't know, is it Count or is it like Count Dracula? And then I have to like make a decision and pretend like I knew what was going on all along. It's also interesting, I will say, when sometimes the foreign translators will catch little small continuity discrepancies that like my editors wouldn't catch, and they would be like, hey, we noticed like this character, the name was spelled this way this time and now it's spelled that way, how is it supposed to be? And I would be like, oh crap, is that in the American version and nobody caught it? Like, well, at least it's going to be fixed in the Finnish version or something.
Yeah.
No, it's
That would freak me out.
Yeah.
You just have to like, at some point I'm just like, okay, whatever, thank you for catching it, I'm glad it's going to be fixed in Portuguese. And move on with my life.
Oh God.
Amazing, honestly, to have it. Also, I assume you get the copies. I don't know. Are they different covers?
They are different covers. Okay, so some of the foreign publishers, so what they do is they give them like the US cover and like the UK cover, because those are the two prominent covers. And most of the foreign publishers, they take like the UK or the US cover. These are like the US and the UK cover, but like in the different languages. And most of the time they just pick one of those and they just change like the language of the title on the cover. But some of them do like their own cover. Like the German cover is like completely different.
Those Germans, wow.
Yeah, they go above and beyond. My German
We love a
is the
sprayed
most
edge.
beautiful. It's gorgeous. Oh my God, yeah.
Beautiful.
So they have the choice to like take one of the covers that somebody's already used, or they can make their own cover. But they do send all of the covers to me for approval. I've never like disapproved of any cover. I think I've asked for like small tweaks on like 2 or 3 of them. But for the most part, I try to be very hands off with the foreign covers, because it's one thing to like be really particular like about your like home language cover, because you're a lot more involved in that process, but you can't get like in the nitty gritty about like 25 different language covers being like, well, maybe you make the title bigger here and maybe you add like a sparkle here. Like that will drive you crazy. So I just look at it and I'm like, okay, this is fine. Let's go.
Can I ask what's been the most surprising cover?
Ooh, yeah.
Surprising cover. I think the Japanese cover, just because a lot of them have like a lot of like lasers and like red and black color schemes. And the Japanese cover is just a picture of a building with a door. And the door is not a part of the book. I don't know what room this door is supposed to lead into. It looks like the cover of a very literary novel. And I have no idea like what their thought process was for this, but I was like, okay.
You
hope this is
posted
actually...
that on Instagram, and I was thinking that too. I was like, what is this?
The
Maybe I
door.
didn't get that part in the book. But
Yeah, that was me a little bit too. I was like, is this actually Thieves Gambit? Did they send me a book by mistake. I don't read Japanese.
It looks very
mysterious. It
It
does
does
look
look,
a
maybe that
little.
was like the aura they were trying to capture. But I do try to trust like my foreign publishers. Like every country's market is different and they know their markets best. So I trust them to like pick the cover that would resonate most with their own audience.
Yes.
Okay,
Amazing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess my next question deviates a little bit from what we just talked about, but I want to ask you, what is the biggest difference between KAYVION, the author, and you as a writer, if there is a difference?
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm actually always like telling people like the difference between being an author and a writer, and because it's like people think it's synonymous, but it's very different to me, because an author's job is to sell books and a writer's job is to write stories. And I love being a writer. I love coming up with stories and characters. To be honest, I kind of hate being an author a little bit, because it's all about putting on smiles and trying to like sell. You're like a salesperson and like creating your brand and everything. And I think the thing that I dislike about it the most is being an author can like take such a chunk away from your time of being a writer, that like if you're not careful and you get like too deep into the applying for different festivals to go to and the doing like social media stuff, next thing you know you're spending like 6 hours a day like trying to promote your book, and then you've written 50 words a day. And that's fine if like that's the part of it that you love, and that it's okay, totally okay to love being an author and to maybe not love the writing process as much. But it's me, like I came into this profession because like I just liked writing stories, and I was like, oh, if I could get someone to pay me for that, that would be really cool. And I don't like getting caught up in like the whole let me like try to sell my book, and the whole marketing world can be a bit plasticky sometimes, and it can get kind of exhausting to like be in. So I think the biggest difference between being author KAYVION and writer KAYVION is writer KAYVION really enjoys being writer KAYVION, and I think that's true to my soul. And author KAYVION is kind of just a job that I clock in and out of, and I use to pay my bills. But I think I'm writer KAYVION 100% of the time because that's who I am, and I'm author KAYVION when I have to get in front of a stage and to talk about my book.
Yeah. So I guess I wonder, are you really protective of when you decide to do media, and what do you decide to put on social media, and how do you like protect your author image so it feels like as authentic to you as possible?
Yeah, that was something that I've had to learn, like how to balance and like where my boundaries are and what I'm comfortable doing. A lot of my process as when I became like a traditionally a published author was finding like my boundaries and everything. And when I first started like on this author journey and was trying to sell Thieves Gambit, I actually had no social media at all, and I had no intention of becoming like a quote unquote author with a capital A is what I like to call it. But I hate that I kind of compromised on that a lot at first, because like I was suddenly had like all these glamorous publishers and movie deals and people being like, oh, you're going to be the next big author person. And that wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do, but there were lots of, big, powerful people telling me great things about my book who wanted to publish my book and buy movie rights. And I was like, okay, yes, I will do whatever you want, whatever you say. And a lot of that I kind of do regret doing now. And I have had to learn that for my own mental health, I need to learn like what my boundaries are and when to say no. Like I was very grateful to be able to go on tour for Thieves Gambit, like in the US and UK. But the amount of like festivals and traveling and everything that I was done, I learned that was not great for my mental health to be on as author KAYVION so long for such what felt like a prolonged amount of time. And so I've kind of had to like retreat back and be, like you suggested, actually like more selective with like the type of media and like how often I and willing I am to be on social media, and to kind of just tell myself like that's okay. Remember why you wanted to do this job in the first place and stay true to that. Like I wanted to do this job because I wanted to just write books and to have someone pay me for writing stories. And I didn't want to be like a big flashy famous author, and it's okay to not want that. And if you don't want to do that, KAYVION, then don't do it. And if people don't want to publish your books or pay you as much money for your books because of that, that's a compromise you're willing to make, and that's fine. And now I've made my peace with that, and now I only go on podcasts that I think are really interesting and do Q&As that I think I'm actually comfortable with, and I post on social media occasionally, but I'm not like trying to become like the next viral author sensation. And I'm okay with that. I just mind my own business. I clock in as an author when I need to, but for the most part, I'm just here to write books, and that's okay.
I love that.
Yep.
Oh, I'm glad somebody does.
Yeah.
I can't speak to Simon and Schuster, but Carried Away loves it.
We love that.
Yeah. I will say Simon and Schuster has been, out of like all my publishers, they're like some of the most, they from the beginning were like, we understand you've got a billion and one things going on, and it's okay to just tell us what you're comfortable doing, and that's okay. And they've been great about understanding that.
Yeah.
That's
Look at
great.
someone in the big five doing good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we love
I
that.
love Simon and Schuster.
We love Simon and Schuster.
Going back a bit, you touched upon it, but that you have a movie deal with Lionsgate. And we just wanted to ask, I guess, what that adaptation process is like as an author, or I guess also as a writer, if you want to make a distinction between the two.
Yeah. So the the adaptation process, in some ways, you could say it's similar to like the foreign translation process of, I feel like I'm kind of on the outskirts of it, but I will say that I'm on the outskirts of like the adaptation process more because I chose to be. When I was we were lucky enough to have a lot of interest for the movie adaptation for Thieves Gambit. We actually had our first offer for movie rights before we even sold the book, so it was crazy. We ended up with 18 different like producer and studio offers, which was that was insane. And I ended up, that was me. And then I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I really didn't know anything about like the film world or like the difference between like, what's the difference between a producer and a studio. And my film agents had a great way of like explaining everything to me, but also I don't know any of the jargon, so kind of explaining nothing to me at the same time. But I feel much more like I at least kind of know what's going on now. But I ended up going with Lionsgate and Temple Hill Entertainment, which is the same production company that did Twilight and The Hate You Give and Love, Simon, and a lot of really great like young adult adaptations. And they're a great team. They're like so much fun to work with. So I feel like my project is like in good hands with them. And I specifically wanted to look for a team that I was comfortable with and I felt like understood the work, because I had a feeling from the get-go that I wasn't going to want to be as heavily involved like in the nitty-gritty of the adaptation process as some authors might want to be, even though I am technically an executive producer, so it's a fancy thing for me to put on my resume. But I from the get-go was like, hey y'all, like let me know the big decisions, like CC me on emails, but I'm not trying to like make minute changes to like the script and like be on every Zoom call and in every like writer's room, because like I said, I just want to write my books. I just want to trust my work with a team that I trust to do like a faithful adaptation of my work. But I was looking for like safe hands to leave my baby in, so like I could leave with a babysitter, then go off and do the fun things that I wanted to do.
Wait, that's the perfect analogy. Lionsgate's
Yeah,
the babysitter.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
But I'm very comfortable with the team. We're currently working on the script, which is like the first part of the process. And then once you have the script, that's when you get to start pitching to like, what are they called? Actors. That's what they're called. Actors and that sort of thing. And then everything. We were also lucky enough that we had a director hop on the project from the get-go, Stephen Cable Jr., who directed Creed 2 and the most recent like Transformers movie. He's amazing, and he hopped on the project even before like I went with Lionsgate, and he was like, if you go with Lionsgate, I love this project and I will be your director, because I really love this project. And he was a part of the team that I like just really seemed to get the characters like from the get-go. And that was a big sign for me that, okay, they understand these characters and what they're about. Like we were on our first call and he was talking to me about like the costume design that he's imagining for Devereaux, and I was like, he sees this, man, like he knows it. I feel like I can trust this guy. And so I found the perfect babysitters.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Wait, I'm not sure if we're allowed to ask this, but do you have like, when you see the movie in your head without all the other, people involved, do you see certain character or certain actors in place of characters?
Oh, people ask this a lot. Yeah. I am actually not as like in the young actor world as I probably should be. I feel like most of what I watch these days are like anime and shows from the 90s. So like, who's the popular young actors in 2024? I have no idea. So I kind of just trust like my brother and my friends to like pitch me names of people that when my producers are like, oh, do you have anybody that we want to pitch so I can pretend that they're my ideas? My brother originally wanted Sydney Sweeney to play Noelia, who's like the rival slash ex best friend
Yes, I
blonde
see
girl
it.
from Switzerland. Yes, yes.
I see it.
So that's he can see it too. I can see it too a little bit now that after I looked her up and everything. And then he wanted I always keep calling her Halle Bailey.
Halle
The
Bailey.
new Little Mermaid. It's Halle
Yeah.
Bailey, right?
Halle
Okay, I keep
Bailey,
calling
yeah.
her like Halle Berry, like the other actor. I keep getting
No, the other way.
He was like, oh,
Ariel.
she should be your Ross. Yeah.
See, I was thinking Kiki Palmer for Ross.
Really?
Ooh.
Okay, my brother has mentioned Kiki Palmer for the Auntie Jaya.
Oh, I see that
Thing.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Oh,
makes
yeah.
sense.
I love Kiki
I
Palmer.
love Kiki.
Don't we all? Yeah.
That would be iconic.
Wait, now we're thinking. Now
Yeah,
we're
let us
cooking.
cook.
Yeah.
us
I need to, yeah. I
This
need
is
to
what
add
we do
you guys
best.
to the production team. Yeah.
Have your people call our people. We are our
Oh,
people.
please, yes, yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Exciting.
we said this for Andy, another author on our podcast, but now I feel like it fits Devereaux even more. But I'm not sure if you've seen
Oh, yes,
Sex
I see what you're
Education.
doing.
Okay,
He-
I have heard of that show, and one of my friends, there's an actor from that show that she's been trying to pitch for
Yes.
Devereaux. I don't know his
Yes.
name, but she's been like, this guy is
Yes.
from Sex Education. She has like
He
a whole
would be the
file of actors,
perfect-
and he's in there.
He would be the perfect Devereaux. He would. I see it. And
Okay,
he's grown
that's
up.
2 votes for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
I'm-
thing, though. People keep growing up, and I'm like, my characters are still perpetually like 17. So I'm like,
But he's
who's
got
gonna
a
be
great
popular in
skincare
a year?
routine.
Oh yeah, so it's fine. Yeah,
So he'll be all right. He'll be all right.
great.
Ashley, not the skincare routine.
He's
Yeah.
fine. Have you seen
His
him?
skin
He
is
glistens.
flawless. The man
Yeah.
doesn't age.
No. No.
Okay.
Okay.
We can keep him in the running then.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Your cat can play Nala. It's fine. It's all
Oh,
fine.
I didn't think about that. I like that. Yeah, I can get that talent fee too. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait. Okay. So you know how some authors will like make a little cameo in a movie? Do you think you
Ooh.
would?
Oh yeah, I think they've asked me about it before, and my brother keeps asking like, "What are you gonna do for like the cameo in the movie?" And I don't want it to be like something like obvious because I really just want to be like in the shadows, like an Easter egg. So
Yeah.
I think there's a scene in Thieves Gambit where the characters are on a train to Paris, and they're tasked with like stealing this phone from this like important senator, and there's lots of drama and action and stuff going on, and I just kind of want to be a random like train goer on the train, like holding a newspaper in front of my head, and then one of the characters will like walk by, and then I'll like lower the newspaper and like look around and then pull the newspaper back up over my
That's
face.
iconic. That's iconic.
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it. Do it.
Cat
Yes,
just at
that's
the
my dream
theater.
cameo. Yeah.
Cat just at the theater, literally looking for you on the train.
So yeah, behind the newspaper.
We will do that. We'll post it on Instagram or something.
Yes.
I was just in the theater looking at that's her. That's her on the train. That's her. Exactly.
We know her. Yeah.
That's Katie. Guys, did we reach the end of our questions?
Yeah, sort of.
Well, this has just flown by. I don't like it.
Wow.
Okay. Well, with the second book, Heist Royale, releasing so soon, what are you most excited for readers to experience? Not sure if you can like spill the tea, but are there any specific plot twists or new characters or deeper themes that you're like can't wait for the readers to experience?
The thing I'm most excited for in Heist Royale is there's this whole casino sequence in like the middle portion of the book that I think is one of the most like convoluted but also clever like sequences I've written in like the entire duology. And there's a reason that like there's casino chips on the cover of the US edition of Heist Royale. And the reason that it's called Heist Royale, it's obviously an homage to Casino Royale. And I think that's just because like all of the editors and everybody who'd read, the earlier draft of the books have been like, oh, wow, this casino portion is like amazing. And so not to like spoil anything, but Ross and her team are tasked with infiltrating this casino called Hearts Casino in Monte Carlo, which is not exactly your average casino because instead of like just gambling money there, you can also gamble and bet anything from state secrets to human organs to fake identities to even like people. And it's run by, yeah. So it's a very tense casino. And Ross, while infiltrating the casino, happens to run into the heir apparent of the casino, whose name is Kaya Hart, who's like a very dashing, but has a bit of a punishment streak. Like, he likes to catch thieves and punish people. His name is Kaya Hart, and he's on to Ross, and a lot of like the middle sequence is her trying to accomplish her mission, but also get out of this weird game of cat and mouse that she's gotten into with this heir apparent to this super shady underground casino. And I think I love that part of the book. From the early reviews that I've read, other people seem to like love that part of the book, and I love this new character, Kaya. He's so evil, but like in a sexy, fun way, if that makes sense.
Aren't they all?
Yeah, that's how we love our book boyfriends. And so I'm so excited for people to read that portion of the book. It's my favorite part probably in like the entire duology, and I'm really hyped for people to get to visit Hart's casino and hopefully get out alive and with all of their organs. That's not how everybody leaves.
Wow.
As soon as you said human organs, the imagery my mind found was crazy.
How does your kidney feel, Camille?
I don't know, I'm checking in right now. It's concerning.
Okay, yeah, maybe don't gamble at Hearts, Camille.
Not planning.
Oh wait, hold on! I just put it two together. Hearts Casino, because like the organ of the heart's organ.
Yo, I did I do that subconsciously? I didn't even.
Wait, did you not do that?
Did you not do that?
Wait,
no, not intentionally.
No, but
Well,
the
you
mastermind strikes again.
the mastermind.
Yo,
Taylor Swift could never.
You knew what you were doing,
Wow.
even when you didn't know what you were doing.
That's crazy.
Period.
Yeah, wow. I'm such a genius, man.
You
Wow.
really are. Wow.
Full
We're just
circle.
finding your Easter eggs all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it, you guys. Thank you for realizing things even I didn't realize about my own work.
Wait, that's so funny.
Anytime.
That's what we're here for.
Honestly. Well, I guess it's come to that time where we're nearing the end. But to finish off, we just thought it would be really fun to ask you some rapid fire questions. So I'm just going to shoot them your way, and we'll see where it takes us.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm nervous now. Let's go.
Oh, no.
Nothing
It's not
crazy.
that serious. It's not that serious. Okay. The first question. Which character was the hardest for you to create?
Ross's mom, Rhiannon, because she's so complicated and the relationship is so complicated. And through each draft that I was writing, she got more sinister to not give anything away. So that was challenging.
I can imagine.
Fair enough.
Okay. Who is your ultimate favorite, like, Mount Rushmore level YA author?
Not a super like best-selling well-known author, but Lizelle Sambury, her most prominent duology is the Blood Like Magic series. She's a Canadian, like Trinidad author, and I love her work. She has a YouTube channel where she talks about writing that I used to write when I was like a wannabe writer, and I was like, I want to be like Lizelle Sambury one day. But just to plug her real quick, so if she sees this, she'll know that I'm a fan and she'll like want to do a panel with me or something. But her Blood Like Magic series is about, it's like set in near future Toronto, and it's about this family of like Black witches who like their entire life and their business is like based off of their magic. But to get like their magic when you're like 16, you have to do this trial from like one of the ancestors. And she ends up, the main character Voya ends up kind of taking off one of her ancestors who's like a particularly like kind of mean. She was like killed during slavery. So she's got like a lot of like things to be irritated about. And this ancestor decides that in order for you to keep your magic, you have to fall in love and kill your first love. And just to make things even more difficult, because you really ticked me off, if you fail, I'm going to take away the entire family's magic and you guys are just going to be screwed. So she has to fall in love with this guy and decide if she's going to kill him or not to like basically save her entire family's like well-being and some of their lives, which are dependent on the magic. And the duology is amazing. It's like half sci-fi because it's set in like the future and there's AI, but there's also magic and witches. And there's so much like LGBTQ representation. The love interest is trans, and it's got Caribbean Islander representation. It's so good. It's so good. Oh my God. And more people need to read this series. And I love the author.
God.
Oh my God.
Guess what we'll be doing after this podcast?
Yes.
Yes. Blood Like
Buying the
Magic.
book.
Lizelle Sambury. Yes, please. I'm dying to meet her in person one day. Like, I will go to Canada to be on a panel with her. Let me put that in writing or like out there for Simon and Schuster.
Obviously.
I already know you're kind of a queen at manifesting, so
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to get the circle rolling again, please.
It could happen.
If we could manifest like a panel with all of us.
Not
Hold
this
on.
manifestation circle.
Please, yes.
The way I'm like, yeah.
That would be very nice. Okay. I'm dragging you guys into the manifestation. Tell me what
Drag
else you
us, please.
Yeah.
Drag us. We're along for the ride.
I love it. Okay, great.
What is your favorite time of day to write?
Morning. I do most of my writing between like 9 a.m. and 12, which is why I hopped on this podcast at 12 because I just finished my writing for the day. And it's not really my favorite time of day so much as I really can't write any other time of day because if I push it off, I'll keep pushing it off like later. And the next thing you know, I'm like in bed at night and I'm like, well, I guess I'll just write double tomorrow. And then I don't write double tomorrow. And then I just didn't write.
Yeah.
It's like going to the gym.
Right? Yeah.
If it doesn't get done in the morning, it's not getting done.
Not going to get done. Yeah. That's probably why I've stopped going to the gym since I became a writer as much because am I going to go to the gym or am I going to write my book? And I've been choosing the book.
Flex your writing hand?
Difficult decision. I don't know.
Yeah.
Difficult decision.
I can't go to the gym. I have to pay these bills and write these books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Period.
Okay.
Exactly.
But if you weren't a writer, what would you be?
Homeless, probably.
Oh, damn. Oh, damn. No. No, I didn't.
What would I be?
Wait, that's relatable though. It's so relatable.
There's nothing else. Since I decided that I wanted to be a writer, I was like, since I opened up my laptop that first day on a whim and I was like, I'm going to write a book. It'll be easy. I fell so deeply in love with writing. I was like, I will be a writer. I will get people to pay me money for these stories I made up in my head, or I will die trying. So I'd probably be a librarian, to be honest. I was a librarian while I was.
The way I was like, no, absolutes. There is no other option.
Okay, there's always the library.
But also, I guess realistically, I was working at a library while I was working on becoming like an actual, because that was like the closest that I could get to like writing books is being around books all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I wasn't a writer, I'd be an aspiring writer still, working at the library.
Honestly, love that.
Books.
Yeah.
Books are amazing.
Books
Yeah, I mean, all the books, especially books that have my name on them. They're my favorite books.
Especially the books that pay you, because we're not trying to be starving artists out here. Like, nobody has time for that. Have you seen the economy? Have you seen the price of groceries?
Yeah. I mean,
I can't buy bread without selling a kidney. Books need
Not the kidney again.
Go to Hearts. You might as well gamble the kidney, and maybe you can win some money.
Exactly. Someone move over. I need to go to the poker machine.
I have nothing to lose. Technically, we don't even need a kidney. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's not that
That's
difficult.
the kind of mindset that I like to see at Hearts. Yeah.
Your liver grows back, right?
It's fine.
It's fine.
No, but your kidney doesn't. What are you talking about?
It doesn't.
No.
Actually, I need you to work at Hearts and be like, your liver goes back, sir, within like 3 to 4 years.
You can do it. You can do it.
You're like,
Trust
come
me.
on.
Win it. All in or what? Come on.
Okay, but just to be clear, once you lose a kidney, it does not grow back.
I said the liver.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the liver
Disclaimer,
grows back.
everybody.
Okay, good.
Carried Away podcast does
Just
not
checking.
support giving away your kidney, expecting
No.
it to grow back.
Don't go to any, black market casinos and try to sell any organs.
Wait,
Oh yeah, KAYVION Lewis do not support that either. I will not be held legally responsible for people who can't
completely
their
off
organs
topic.
away.
Completely off topic, but I got like an organ donor form from the government the other day, and I was having a particularly hard day, and I was like, wait, y'all want my organs? Can I just get through the day?
Oh wow.
But anyway, off topic.
Oh god, okay. I don't know how to segue into this, but okay. What's your favorite writing snack? Very lighthearted.
It's cinnamon toast. So every day when I write, I go to the library for 2 hours, and then I go to this coffee shop at my house called Rhino Coffee. Shout out to Rhino Coffee. Give me a discount for plugging you guys.
We'll
Right.
tag them.
Yeah. But they have this cinnamon toast, and every morning I go there and I get the cinnamon toast. And I've like mentally associated this taste of cinnamon toast with writing now. It's like a placebo effect. So
Yeah.
cinnamon makes me want to write.
That reminds me of the scene in Thieves Gambit when Ross is standing next to her mom, and she's like, "It's like a Pavlov effect."
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
her mom smells like cocoa butter.
Yeah, or coconut, like yeah.
And then she thinks of her mom every time she smells cocoa butter. Oh,
Yeah.
it's probably because my mom used to wear cocoa butter a lot when I was a kid.
Same.
And I used to smell it and I'd be like, oh, it's my mom.
Yeah.
God, I'm revealing like a lot more in this interview about how closely related Ross's mom is to my mom. And I don't like admitting it publicly.
Oh no. My mom smells like a Coco Chanel Mademoiselle every time I smell it. I'm like, mother, where are you?
That's so much more bougie than my mom's.
My mother is bougie.
$3 bottle of cocoa butter. That's nice.
But she also likes shea butter, so I don't know.
Oh, I love a shea butter. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not me smelling it. Fantastic. Okay. Do you have a favorite fictional character of all time?
All time. Oh my god, that's really difficult.
Not the absolutes, but to put you on the
I
spot.
think some characters who I really love. Maybe Gatsby from The Great Gatsby.
Oh.
I aspire to be Gatsby. I want to throw big lavish parties and I want to be in love with somebody who's outside of my league, even though it's probably just my own way of validating that I've made it in life by being with
Wow.
them.
You want a Daisy?
Yeah, I want a Daisy. Give me a Daisy. No, I really just I want to be as glamorous and have as much gravitas as Gatsby.
Yes.
But I don't want to like get shot.
No, and
die
end up in the
Yeah.
pool on the
In
wrong
the
side.
pool. Yeah.
No, I was thinking
Now that I forgot that's what happens to him.
Yeah.
that's
Let
where
me
my
have
brain went.
that
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want a catchphrase too, like come on, old sport. But I can't say that because that's lame. But I want a catchphrase that people are like, he said this all the time. It was kind of weird, but I was into it.
Wait, now we have to think of your catchphrase. These are not rapid fire anymore, but now you need a catchphrase.
Now we're getting in. Oh wow. That's my catchphrase. Oh wow.
Did you ever watch Full House?
No, I didn't. Did somebody say
Oh.
that?
No, but Michelle Tanner, the Olsen twins, she'd always go, "You got it, dude."
That's so lame.
It was the 90s, guys. It was the 90s.
Okay, it was totally radical then. I guess.
Or what did Urkel always say? Oh, never mind.
Did I do that?
Oh yeah, did I do that?
That's the worst one.
Okay, well, yours is TBD.
Yeah. We'll cook. It's cooking. It's on the stove. She's not
Yeah,
done yet,
yeah.
though. Okay. If you could visit any fictional world, where would you go?
Where would I go? I feel like a lot of fictional worlds and books I wouldn't like actually want to go there.
Yeah, if I think about it really hard, I'm like, I wouldn't survive, but
Right? Let me think. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's not a fictional world, but it kind of. Okay, so have y'all ever heard of the book Danger My Ally by F.A. Hedges?
No, but I'm about to go.
No, because it's not very popular. But F.A. Hedges was the real world inspiration for Indiana Jones. And he was like an adventurer, allegedly. But he wrote this book called Danger My Ally, which is about like his travels around the world, like having adventures mostly in like South America and finding the crystal skull. He claimed he really found that and visiting like native peoples and stuff. It's supposed to be based on real life. But this man is a liar. And if you read the book, you will you will see obviously like none of this is real. This is not happening. Like you did not get kidnapped by Pancho Villa and then serve in his army for 3 years until you ran away on a horse and then found yourself in South America finding the kingdom of the crystal skull one day. That just didn't happen. So I'm saying he says it's nonfiction, but it's obviously fictional. But I would totally want to go on those adventures. And because I'm assuming this is a fictional world, because none of this happened, I'm going to say that I want to go into the world of Danger My Ally and have this crazy life, Indiana Jones-esque adventures that totally, definitely did happen.
It's giving Heart of Darkness for some reason.
Is it?
I got a completely
Do I need to
different
pivot?
Yeah, I got a different image.
I got
Oh, okay. I need to pivot. Okay.
in my mind. I got Jumanji.
Yeah.
Oh, Jumanji.
It kind of it is like that. That's exactly what he described happening to him, kind of.
Funny. And then claiming truth. These are facts.
That's what I got.
Yeah, and then he was like, it totally happened. And his daughter, I think she died recently, but she was like 90. She was like, yeah, she was really riding for this man even years after his death. She was like, my dad definitely found the kingdom of the crystal skull. I'm not going to show it to you, but it happened.
Trust me, bro. Trust me.
I was there. It happened.
I was in the backpack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there one more? These are not rapid fire. These are slow burns, not rapid
Yeah.
fire.
We'll do one more. Wait.
Okay.
Now I'm trying to pick which one.
I'll do both.
Do both? Okay.
Yeah.
You can pick only one of your characters to bring with you to a deserted island. Who are you bringing?
Oh, man.
Oh, darn.
I've thought about, somebody's either asked me this question or I've thought about this question before. Okay, so my first thought was Milo because he's entertaining and he would be fun to be around. But then I was like, I'm on a deserted island. I can't survive. I don't have the skill set to survive by myself. So I was like, I should probably take Tayo because he's just the type of person who has like probably a random knowledge on like everything.
Yeah.
And so I feel like he would have like the best chances of survival. But also, I think he would be not fun to talk to. So it's kind of like, do I want to survive longer, but like be with kind of a prickly person? Or do I just want to go out having fun? So it really depends on my mood for the day. But as of now, I'm going to say I'll pick Tayo and hope that we get rescued soon. Yeah.
Damn.
Fair enough.
Well, fair enough.
Good pick. I like that.
Speaking of, which fictional character do you think you'd be best friends with? Clearly not Tayo, but
No.
Yeah. One of my characters or one of like any fictional character? One of my characters?
Oh.
Or
Ooh, there's a
that's
any
little-
character?
I see how you've switched it up on us, huh?
I'm asking.
Not kidding. No, let's do one of your characters, and then just for funsie, let's do both.
Okay. One of my characters, best friends with. Oh my god, probably Milo, which I think I hinted at. Like he's just like a very easy person to befriend. I think he would be best friends with most people.
Yeah. A golden
Any
retriever.
fictional character. Yeah, pretty much. Any fictional character. I don't know if you guys have read Who Made Me a Princess, which is like, it's actually started as like a South Korean. I feel like I'm pulling like the most random books that I'm
love
referencing.
it. You're
But it's-
you're expanding our worlds. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
You're
based
adding
off
to
of
our
a
Goodreads.
South Korean like webtoon, but it recently got like a official release, and now it's being officially released like in the United States. It's just had its 7th volume released like last month. But like the main character in that book, Athanasia, was reading like a web novel one night, and then she like OD'd, and she woke up as like a side character in the book who's supposed to get murdered like at the end by her dad. And so she's like, well, I'm gonna like try to not get murdered and try to get this evil emperor dad to like me and stuff. And then other shenanigans ensue. But she's very like fun and clever and likable, especially for somebody who's like got murder hanging over their head all the time. And every time I read her, I'm like, and daddy, yeah. And she's got, relatable parent issues that people could have lots of conversations about. Every time I read those books, I'm like, she's a really fun character who I normally, this sounds bad, but I feel like I'm one of those people, which I think a lot of people are, who I will often read a book and end up hating the main character, but loving like all the side characters.
Yeah.
And so every time it's like a breath of fresh air, like going back into these volumes, being like, I actually really like this main character and I want her to win outside of all of these side characters.
Yeah.
I love the ironic, because the name Athanasia in Greek means someone who is immortal or who is not dying.
Oh, really? I hope that was intentional. Oh, wow.
I find that also very ironic.
Oh, that's
Like
fun.
a good irony.
Oh, we love.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. We love a little
love a fact.
linguistic tidbit.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's been a while since I read the first volume of the book, but I think that was the reason why, like, when she was a baby, her dad let her live because he'd gone on like a slaughter spree the day that she was born. But her mom, I guess, was clever and named her Athanasia. And he was like, oh, she named her something that means immortal. That's funny. I'm gonna let her live. Anyways, read Who Made Me a Princess. It's like got beautiful illustrations and a likable main character who you can totally be best friends with, and it's a great series. I highly recommend it.
We're gonna have to do like a separate post of all the books that you've plugged into this.
Yeah, we have.
Oh, yeah.
This is KAYVION's reading list. Follow us.
Books you probably haven't read. Some of them are memoirs that are not true. Some of them are.
It's an eclectic bag. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Wow. On that note, we're done with all of our questions.
Yeah, we've reached the end.
We've reached the
Wow.
end.
I hope
Unfortunately,
I've given insightful answers. At least one of those was insightful, I hope.
honestly, this has been so fun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, good. I'm glad I can brighten up you guys' night.
Yeah. Considering I'm in the dark.
Yeah.
Well, dreamers, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and you can find Heist Royale. When is it out? Can you plug the details?
November 12th is when Heist Royale releases, so it should be available on shelves to read now, I assume.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
So-
now, yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow as we're recording this. Yeah,
Go buy Heist Royale.
Please, yeah.
Go get your heart
Oh my God,
stolen at
exciting.
the Heart Casino.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. You were like, no, don't do that.
The way I was like, yeah, and then I was like, no,
I was
no.
committing to it, but yeah.
Commit to the bit, Camille.
Okay,
Commit to the
I'm
bit.
committing.
Eat your hearts out. Okay, dreamers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Well, dreamers, thank you again for listening to another week's episode of Carried Away the Conversation. For more and for what's going on over here, take a look at our website at www.thecarriedaway.com and be sure to like, follow, subscribe on all platforms.